Hello, hello, hello. It is Tuesday already. Welcome to In Black. I am excited to be here tonight. If this is your first time watching, I will not be your host. That is the surprise for tonight. I will not be your host, but generally I am. My name is Peirrce Peach McCoy. Before I actually bring on the host that created this topic and I just saw all the amazing questions. I can't wait to answer them myself. I hope I can make it through. I'm going to ask everyone to like, share, pound the like button, whatever. Just get us out there. Text it to a friend because tonight is going to be something else. I've been thinking about this the whole week, this topic. So, as usual, the views here are the panelists, not necessarily IME Corps, um, which is the LGBTQ plus nonprofit. And we're about to have the discussion in Black. Now, the topic for tonight, and this topic, this is going to be something. Heteronormative expectations inside the LGBTQ plus and trans attracted relationships and how they can be harmful. I want y'all to take a minute to think about that because that is a mouthful. But I know if you are within the community, you can identify readily behaviors that we done carried over from our family, friends, society as a whole. So before I could get deeper, in which I'm not going to get deeper, I'm going to be on the panel tonight. I'm going to bring on our host. And our host for tonight is Dre. Hi,
Hey,
Dre.
good evening, Peach. How are you?
I am good. Are you ready to host in Black tonight?
Listen, I'm ready. I'm excited. I am interested in seeing how we are going to answer these questions on tonight. This is going to be a show.
Okay. What inspired this topic?
I was actually having a conversation with my brother Rakeem, and we were just brainstorming some things, and he's one of those uh people who love, throwing words at me that I'm sitting here like, whoa, let me try to define that real quick. And so he threw out that heteronormative expectations, and I was like, ooh. And I was like, oh, bro, yeah, I'm about to, I got to get with the team. We got to dig deep on this.
All right. Well, I'm about to bring up your panel
Let's
and take
bring them
myself
on
out
in.
and put you up there. All right. So let me bring on the panel.
Hey, 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 I love them glasses, Dre.
Little new, little something, something. They little MMG. I think that, yeah. A little designer this time. Vonda. I'm trying to be like you, Smack. Can't keep letting you come up on here outdoing me. I feel some type
You
of
mean
way.
like Peach? You mean like Peach with the 1,000,001 glasses?
I can't outdo her because she the creator. She might take me off of this joint. We also got Tim in the building tonight, Stan on the building tonight, Zay's in the building tonight, Vonda. We're excited. And we have our guests in the building tonight, those who are watching. So I'm excited.
I
I'm
can't
hoping
hear.
you can't hear on your end.
I can hear Stan. I can hear everybody. Stan, you gotta get some connection going on.
Yeah, it sounds like he in the wilderness. He might need to come out and come back in.
All right, Dre. Well, the floor,
Right?
you got the floor.
All right, y'all. So tonight we're going to dig deep, as our creator said. We're digging deep in heteronormative expectations in our relationships, which I think is a good show tonight because it's a lot of different ways that people can take this topic. Is a lot of thought behind the topic, questions, and I'm excited to see how everybody is going to answer. So let's jump on into this thing. So the first question we have is like, how did you become aware of your own identity? And was there any certain situations or experience that made you say, hey, this is me and I'm excited to be me? Um, and so just throwing this conversation and getting this conversation started, we're gonna put Tim in the hot seat. He saw it coming.
Right away. Okay. Um, is that feedback me or
No, I want to say that's Stan's mic. Is it by a fan?
it sounds like a squirrel that won't stop talking?
Everybody mute your mics.
Well, I think he stepped away. Peirrce, if you can mute.
Okay.
It was one of those. One of whoever muted their mic. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. I'm gonna jump right into this. It's crazy that gays constantly scream for gay rights and the right to be who they are and be who they want to be. But then they turn around and basically do the same thing to other gays that the heteros did to us. Even though we are gay and or whatever your identity is in the LGBTQIA spectrum, um, everything is still based on heterosexual norms. If you're the top, you are most times projected to have to be this hyper masculine person or this hyper masculine situation that might not be all the way you. Everybody's not a thug, everybody's not a gangster. Reality is there's different types of men, whether you're straight, gay, or somewhere in between. There's different types of men. And it's if you are supposed to be the man, you can't do this and you can't do that, you can't do this and you can't do that because that's not what things that a man should do. But I'm not a straight man. I'm gay, so why can't I do gay things? I noticed a drastic difference in how men received me before I started entertaining as opposed to after I started entertaining. Because I'm a masculine gay male, but I entertain on stage in drag, there are so many stereotypes put on me, and these stereotypes reach people before people even get a chance to know who I am, even before they even get a chance to say hello to me as a person. And it's crazy that a lot of the people that say I'm not a man because of the things I indulge in, if they actually knew me as a person, they would understand I'm more men than most men that they will actually come in contact with or deal with. So yeah, it's the the gay realm is a very magical place, and it doesn't always make sense in a time where common sense is no longer normal. It's the new norm. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of hetero. It's a lot of hetero norms placed in expectations in the gay lifestyle.
So how did you become aware of your own identity though, Tim?
Um, Actually, doing drag. Um, because it forced me as a person to accept everything about myself. Because whereas I was received by the crowds very, very, very well. The people that I mingle with in clubs are so confused about all the stories that they've heard about me that they are scared to approach me. So I had to find like a intestinal fortitude to just be able to go out and just function as myself because everything around me got crazy simply because people can't understand the difference between an artist and a lifestyle choice. See, my life hasn't changed much since I entered the lifestyle. Meaning my day to day is very much what it was before I came out. I don't exactly live the way. I don't have a 24-hour gay lifestyle. If you can comprehend that, it doesn't mean that my sexual preferences are 24 hours. It just means the life that I live and the things that I indulge in don't revolve around the gay lifestyle. But yet, in the gay lifestyle, I'm not seen as a man. So it took a lot of intestinal fortitude to understand who I am and not be torn down by everybody else's confusion. I managed to maintain Tim and still manage to be an awesome man in everybody else's life that I've touched. It's just hard to date because people are actually shamed for dating a top that does drag. Like all other kinds of shaming is something that, you know, it's not just drag, it's other things that masculine men just can't do. And if they do them, they're frowned upon. They're looking at as broken or something's wrong with them. There ain't shit wrong with me. I'm just gay. My gauge is different than yours.
Awesome. Let's throw Vonda in the hot seat.
The chipmunk's back.
It's you, Vonda. It's some type
The
of noise in
chipmunk
the
is
back.
back.
And you're on mute.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Do you still hear the noise?
No.
No.
All right, that's because I had two speakers on at the same time. I apologize, y'all. Um, let me unplug it real quick because it's switching in and out of the two mics. Matter of fact, I can just turn it off. I'm sorry. All right. So, I mean, I always knew that I like girls at a very young age. I was a toddler. But it became real and undeniable, I would say between 16 and 17, you know, probably more so 17. I didn't have no single aha moment like, hey, hey. And I didn't have anything like that. It was just a series of like feelings, connections, people I met in which they were older, and experiences that made me realize that I was emotionally and romantically attracted to women. I don't know if those who have been following our show, you remember me saying that I had an attraction for my best friend. And I wasn't confused about what I was feeling because I knew, you know, just, you know, that I like girls. Wasn't really attracted to boys. I may have acted like I was to, you know, keep mommy and daddy happy, but I basically was waiting for the world to catch up. You know, I grew up in Salisbury, and what I already knew about myself, you know, my come out wasn't it I don't know what that noise is. It sound like somebody breathing. It sound crazy. It sound like somebody doing something. But it was like my come out came out in a rage moment. You know, that wasn't the way I wanted to come out, you know, to my parents. It came out in rage. And you know, to the people I hung around with, it wasn't, you know, I came out to them, you know, the people who were guiding me into this lifestyle. And so in a world that, you know, doesn't really accept back then, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s, you know, in a world that really didn't make space for Black queer women such as myself, I stood firm in who I was. I remember going to get my hair cut. Boy, I had me the dopest high top fade. I don't know if anybody remember. Had my boy cut, had on my little baggy blue jeans. I really, was no more dresses. I'm gonna keep it real. At 18, it was no more dresses. I went and got my boy cut, and barbers were always look at me. Your mama know you getting your hair cut like this. I said, I'm grown. I'm 18. Yeah, I want my hair cut like this. And I feel like I've always walked in my truth, even when it wasn't popular, to be honest. So I don't have like a aha moment. I know when I came out to my mom, it was out of rage, but I always felt comfortable because I surrounded myself around a community of people who accepted me. But I did have a couple, girls that I talked to who want to act like, we're not together in public. And I'm like, why do you care what people say? And I think that comes from the liberation within myself. I didn't care what people thought, but I understand, like, sometimes they weren't ready. But I'm just there with it. As far as when I became aware, I always knew I liked girls. I remember I told you I was playing mommy and daddy. I was daddy, and she was mommy.
From the first time on this angle, let's get Peach up in the hot seat.
Oh, okay. So the first time I realized that I was a part of the community, I think I have to agree with Vonda. I think sometime when I was aware, I just automatically knew that um I just liked everybody. I didn't even have a concept of gender growing up. I think, I was more shocked to find out I was a girl more so than to find out that I liked females and males at the time. But I just automatically knew. Um Maybe possibly born this way. I don't even ever remember a time when I didn't, know I was a part of the community. So that is my answer.
Good deal. Let's throw Zay in the hot seat.
I don't know. I probably just say I always felt like I wanted everything in life, whether it was male or female. But I didn't really act on it till I turned 18, because before 18, everybody's like has so much to say, or the older people of your generation didn't pretty much was okay with that. But I also came from a family full of women. Wasn't too many men around, so being raised by a bunch of women made me realize like that's probably not the life that I want for myself. So when I turned 18, I started acting and trying different things to see what I wanted, and it went more based on how I felt.
Stan, put you in the hot seat.
Um, I guess I didn't have. I guess um, I knew early on things I liked. Um, like even 13, 14 years old, and but I always had my own identity because I never uh, hung in a gay crowd. So I didn't hang around gay people. I was I could, I would live my life and go around um, things I wanted to be around, but didn't live in it. Um, still had my regular friends and stuff, but then I still would go and do what my own thing. So I wasn't part of the community. I didn't hang around gay people. I would when I started when I was in the community. I could get in it, but then wasn't of it. If you know what I mean. I'd be in it, but I wasn't of it. I didn't have a template of gay people around me to say, um, it like when we talk about stereotype, I didn't have a template of somebody or what people say they gay fathers, they gay mothers, and stuff like that. And so I wasn't guided in that. So I didn't. I just was always on my own with what I did. So I wasn't guided in anything, and I think sometimes we have gay fathers, gay mothers, and these are things I hear about. I hear people talk about it, but so they had guidance with certain things, or they depended on them for certain things, or they looked for them as a template of what to be. And I just didn't have that. I just knew things I liked, and I never put titles on anything, So I didn't, I was just one of those people that I wasn't confused about what I was and what I was gonna be. Am I gay? Am I this? I just went with the flow. I just followed with the river. Hey, whatever, however it was. So I didn't put those kind of pressures on me on what I am, or am I gay, or what's gonna happen. I didn't do that, and uh, what I found pleasure in, that I didn't have to have nobody validate what made me feel good, you know, or I didn't have nobody validate on what I liked. So I didn't have. So I knew early when I had I mean, when you 12, 13 years old, I was very curious. I had all these emotions, I had feelings, masturbation coming in, like, damn, what is this I'm doing? You don't know. I went to the library looking up books and shit on what is masturbation and what, I stopped looking for things to define my feelings. And then if I read something in the book and you're supposed to feel this way after you masturbate, you're supposed to be like this, now I'm looking for something. Well, I didn't feel this way. Okay, the book said I'm supposed to feel this way, but I don't. So I just kind of, I don't. It's like with like self-help books. I don't. A lot of people use them because self-help is, those things like that is always somebody else's story. And whatever journey they took, that was their journey. Their journey might not work for you. I can write about my journey like I'm a hero and just follow what I do, and you're gonna be like this. It ain't gonna probably work for you because there's all kind of things in my life that you ain't gonna you will never experience. So my thing is, I never, like I said, I never, to make it short, I just went with how I felt, and I didn't have anybody to say, okay, this is the way I'm supposed to feel or the way I'm supposed to be. I just knew early how I felt, and I never expressed that with people because I didn't need people judging and then me explaining things to myself, about myself. So I had my straight friends I hung with all the time, and then again, like I said, I could hang with them, but then again, uh, I knew certain people I wanted to be around. I was into community, but I wasn't of the community, so I wasn't part of that. I didn't hang around it. When I was dating the trans girls and stuff, I didn't have to be part of the community to do what I did. And then a lot of the women I dated, a lot of girls when I started dating, respected that because I pulled them out of the community, for a while, and it wasn't part of that. So, I mean, I hope you all understand what I'm saying, but that was just, um, but I knew early my identity, and I knew um, that I wasn't looking for anybody to validate why I feel the way I feel. You know, I, so that's really it.
Good deal. Kalani, you are in the hot seat. Welcome to the show, to Kalani.
Thank you for having me. Can I have the question again?
You sure can. How did you become aware of your own identity? And was it a certain situation or a certain experience?
Um, For me, it was kind of different because I kind of knew early on, but I didn't have the language for it. So I kind of sought different avenues like television, because I grew up in the church. I grew up in church culture and church world. We didn't have none of this then. It was just one or the other, and that was all. So I didn't have any language for how I was feeling and how who I knew I was. So I had to go searching for it, and I came across it when I went to my first gay club, which was in my teenage years. Won't tell you how old I was because I wasn't supposed to be in there. But I went and I saw a representation of who I became. And just from that moment, just knowing that there were other people that were like a blueprint for where I was headed was reassuring. So I always knew, but I just didn't have the language for it. But I always knew.
Good deal. Good deal. I guess I got to answer this question, huh? For me, it was an experience for me actually. I had ideas of like how I was feeling, what I was attracted to. I always knew I was attracted to at one point both men and women. But for me, it was just that first experience kind of etched everything in stone. And after dealing with women, and then you have your my first experience where I dealt with a guy, I was just like, this is what I've been missing. Like, wait, let's try this again. So I just kept trying, and trying led to staying. And I was just like, hey, I don't even need a female now. Like, forget this. It was a better experience. It was more enjoyable. It was less hassle to deal with crap afterwards, and I ain't have to deal with a lot of the, you know, what women go through. And so I was just like, hey, let's go. Um, so and it was a thing really for me too. I was what solidified me was after I was actually married at one point. So after I lost my wife, I literally didn't I lost interest in females completely after I lost my wife. I was just like, hey, like this now has further solidified that because I have this thing where if you weren't her, you ain't gonna make it anyway. And so um, you know, it was like now let's just look forward to doing something different. And I enjoyed it. Like I just fell in love with everything about the dealing with the man aspect of the man, um, the soft side versus the hard side, um, the feeling of I don't have to play around. Like we both know what each other want, and we both know like how to satisfy one another. And, I don't have to teach. Hopefully, I didn't have to teach nobody nothing. You shouldn't already figure out some things, although sometimes you do. Got to still be that educator, but it was just like, yeah, this is where I'm going to stick with. And if they don't, whoever doesn't accept it, that's fine too. Like my cutoff game is strong, so I didn't have to worry about who didn't accept it and who did. Yeah, I was just like, it is what it is. So that's how I was aware of my own identity. Um, Being in this lifestyle and being who we are, um, especially I think in some type of form, another an activist, or a role model. How would you encourage others to find themselves? And if I can add to this speech, I want to even say to accept themselves for who they are. And we're going to let's put Kalani back up in the hot seat first.
Um, how can I package this? I think first and foremost, people have to understand where you are first. Like understand where you are in life. Because a lot of us, and I hope I don't take too long to get to my point, but a lot of us, for some reason, deal with a lot of trauma in our upbringing, in the LGBT community. Um, so it's kind of hard for us to move past that, and it takes us a while to really understand who we are because of all of the trauma. Um, so my advice, because yeah, I'm gonna say that, because my advice to anybody would just to be able to know that as humans, we need people, but we don't need people. Because a lot of times people won't become who they need to be for themselves because they're so concerned about losing people. And if you lose a person, that person wasn't your person anyway. So I think you should just be who you're going to be, accept who you are, come to grips with that. And if you lose somebody, you lose them. If you keep them, you keep them. But you got to be able to go alone because this is not an easy walk, in short.
Let's throw Zay up in the hot seat.
For what question?
How would you encourage others to find themselves and be comfortable with
I don't
themselves?
know. I probably would just tell them like, don't worry about nobody else and just be you. Because at the end of the day, you gotta live your life for yourself, not to please nobody else. And if you're not comfortable within your own skin, then how do you expect somebody else to be okay with how you feel or what you feel like you want to be?
Awesomeness. All right, Tim, you up. And the seat is burning.
I would tell them always do what feels good to you. It's okay to be accepted. It's okay to be popular. It's okay to do some of the things that everybody else is doing. But it's also okay to know that everything isn't for you. Pay attention to the things that are good for you and the things that aren't good for you, and regardless where the popular crowd is headed to, always gravitate towards what's good for you. You're going to see a lot of people come and go. Some of them will come and go quickly. How long you stay around, how long you last, what type of experience you have in this lifestyle, all depends on the choices you make. Always make the best choice for you. Always.
All right, Tim. Tim then went to TD Jakes on us on that one. Let's go to Stan. Stan, you in the hot seat, bro.
Well, I really avoid trying to give people advice on um, on certain things, and the reason I do that is I like, and believe me, because I'm kind of high profile, so I get a lot of guys all the time that DM me about um, how do you meet trans girls, where do you meet them? They really come with a lot of stuff. I don't give advice. I just say, hey, you know what? There's a club, especially when people come to Atlanta. I swear, people hit me up all the time. Guys, man, where do I go? Where can I meet? Where do I do this? And I started getting to a point. I was going to start charging people money because I'm like, wait, you know what? Because you kind of get it wrong, and I don't give advice on any, because see, like I said before, my journey and experience, I can give you advice and you could take it, but it ain't gonna fit you because it took all these little pieces throughout my whole life for me to get to this point, or to get, so what works for me ain't gonna work for you. And I just give advice. Hey, say, hey, you know what? There's a million clubs here. Go to a club, go out there. The girls are there, and just do, and then you'll figure it out yourself. So I'm not going to tell you anything that's going to be a guideline. Okay, if you do this, then that's going to happen. Then after that, that's going to happen. So that's what people are looking for. I don't have that advice. I would encourage you to, number one. I don't know your situation. I don't know if you down low. If you, I don't get into all those things. So my thing is, hey, bro, I can what I'll do this. I can name you 5 clubs in Atlanta you can go to, and you go there and figure it out right there, because everything you're looking for is there. So however it fits into you, then that's what you do, because that's what happened with me. I had no guidelines on nothing. I didn't, seek out a book. Okay, this is how I do it. This is the method I take. You know, it's like when I go to different cities, you know what I do? I don't even ask people where to go. I swear, I never ask people where to. I do it on my own. I never ask people. I go to New York. When I was in Delaware. I didn't ask nobody in Delaware. You know, where the clubs to. I sought that out on my own because I wanted my own experience. I didn't want people telling me, "Oh, don't go. That they ain't shit there. This is that." I had to. I just do it on my own. Everywhere I went, Mississippi, everywhere, New York, and I just do it by myself. I don't ask people where to go because they're going to give me their perspective and they're going to tell me what's good for them. So, and I just always been that kind of person. So, like I said, my best advice to people is I really try not to give people advice because and because if it don't work out, then the first thing that's going to happen is you told me I took your advice and this happened. There's that story. You know how it go, like, when you give people control of your life, like if somebody say, "Hey, Stan, I need you to give me a ride to the airport." So now what I'm doing is now I'm letting you control me because if I get you there late, it's my fault. If now what happens is it becomes my problem. So uh, when I sit back and say yes to shit or give advice and it don't work out, hey man, I went to the place you told me to. It didn't happen, man. It wasn't. It was. Now I'm explaining to them. Well, man, you went on a bad night, that kind of stuff. So, like I said, best advice to do. Hey man, I can tell you, I give you some ideas. Go for it. But as far as advice and all that, no. But I would encourage you to go out and do it. That's my encouragement. Period.
Dynamic. Let's take this thing to headquarters. Peach. The seat is sizzling.
Okay, so I kind of agree with Stan. I agree with Tim. So my advice would be to anyone that's trying to figure out who they are. I have a line that I always say to my children. You could be the ass of your life or you could be on the tail end. And I feel like I want to be the head. I don't want to be on the ass. I don't want to be the tail. I want to be the head. So you have to do the inner work. You have to figure out who you are, what you like, exactly how you want that person to be. Even if you have to write it down, figure it out. If you got to research it, however you do it, watch a porn, a movie, however you decide to embark on figuring out who you are, what your orientation is, your identity, even when it comes to your career, just the inner work. And then once you figure that out, then you go out, you go into the world, you're already armed, and then you start making decisions. You make great decisions that you're comfortable with. So if I didn't say it right, you can either be the head or the tail of your life. I say choose to be the head. Think about it. And as always, with everything with me, once you figure it all out, always be able to finance whatever your decision is. And that is my answer.
I like it. Last but not least, Smack.
Somebody, okay, thank you. My mouse stopped working, so I ain't got no way to, but here we go. I'm one that likes to, empower people. I mean, even if you're trying to identify as a cat or a dog, animals, you have people like that identify to animals. I'm just going to say this. Start by listening to your inner voice, as some people have described, as it starts within yourself. Listen to your inner voice, because don't listen to what the world expects. Don't listen to what your family wants, or what society says is right. You know, live freely and unapologetically. You know what I'm saying? If you gotta, get out there, as Stan said, in his earlier age, he had to get out there and explore. You know what I mean? Do that. Cry if you need to, because I know I don't cry plenty of times. Like, yo, they just won't, you know what I mean, understand who I am as a person. But the thing you have to remember is always come back to who you are, to come back to yourself. And once again, surround yourself around people who want the best for you, and want to see you thrive in who you are. And that was a challenge for me. The people that I held to a higher degree in my life, they just didn't understand the lifestyle that I chose. And no matter how much I tried to explain to them, they had their own thought of what it is. And you can't sit there and waste your time on that, because life gonna ride you by, gonna pass right on by you, and you missing all the good stuff. So I say, healing and growth definitely takes time, but identity is not something to be ashamed of. It's something that you honor, because I honor what I am.
I like it. I like it. She said, "I honor who I am." I like that. That's deep. That's deep. You just smacked me with that one. I like that. I'm
Oh,
ready to put that. I'm ready to put that on my wall. Like, I honor who I am. That's yeah. I'm gonna steal that actually.
I've been
Um,
reflecting the past like 16 days, taking 2 hours out for self. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I just tell people, especially younger people, I generally tell them to, number one, learn who they are. Like, learn yourself first before you try to experience anything. You gotta, because I've learned in this, especially in this lifestyle for me, I've learned that you can't be unsure of yourself. You got to be 1,000% sure of who you are before you just be up and playing around in this lifestyle, and be comfortable with, to me, like, where your emotions and your heart is. And then I say, you can't, you don't know it until you try it. That's something my granddaddy always said to me. Try it, see if you like it, and if it makes you feel good, then you like it. That was my granddad's advice to me when I literally was talking to him about, Pop Up, I think I like guys, but I ain't 100% sure. And he said, "Oh, okay, you tried it yet?" And I said, "Nah, but I know what I see, and I know what happens when I see it." And he said, "Well, that's the first step." Because my granddad was an OG. He knew, he didn't care. That's the first step, because I know what I like, and I know when they walk past what they do to me. um you know so I was like, "All right, cool, Papa." But he also instilled, like, if you never take a step out on it, then you can never say if it's for you or not. And so I tell them, take the first step and see what's what. I'm not going to encourage you to, just go head first into the lifestyle. I feel like that's where a lot of our young people go wrong today. They jump in head first, and the first thing they hit is everything that don't really represent the lifestyle, but represents the culture that we've built for the lifestyle. And so I say, do what makes you happy at the end. So we discussed um, some background stuff. Now, earlier, we were talking about different things of the heteronormative thinking with, if you're gay, you're automatically a top, you're automatically a bottom power, top, verse straight, or, whatever you want to call yourself, verse bottom, verse top, I'm up, I'm down, I'm in, I'm out. Do you think that the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted community is focused too much on labeling and not enough on true advocacy and acceptance, or do you think we are where we need to be? And I'm gonna let Tim kick us off with this one in the hot seat.
Okay, this kind of piggybacks off of some of the things I said earlier. Um, could you repeat the question one more time? The second half of
Absolutely.
the question.
Absolutely. Do you think the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted community is focused too much on labeling and not enough on true advocacy and acceptance?
Yes. Um, Here's the thing. A lot of the gay scenery revolves around pageantry and ballroom, and that culture is used to putting people in boxes or categories. So it becomes very common in our community for people to get into the mindset of putting people in a box. And you have to fit in this box. If you're masculine, you have to be this. If you're feminine, you have to be this. Oh, you can't act like that because you look like this. And it's the complete opposite of being who you want to be because you're free, you're gay, you're happy. It's a lot of vice versas and contradictions in our community. And there are things that we were fighting to get free from, but then we turn right back around and do to each other. And those are things that push me back away from the lifestyle because the hypocrisy that's involved in it is kind of shocking when you think you found this new magical place where everything's going to be accepted, and then you run into the same roadblocks that you did in the hetero community. You get the same prejudices that you did in the hetero community because you don't fit into one of these boxes. People can't comprehend that you might be a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and that's okay because it's your right to be that way. Isn't that what everybody says? But instead, when people drift too far from these boxes or these categories or these norms, then you're looked at like you're broken and there's something wrong with you. When you're just not vanilla, you're not chocolate, you're not strawberry, you're Neapolitan. What the fuck is wrong with that? So the fuck what you're vanilla. So the fuck what you're chocolate. So the fuck what you're strawberry. I'm Neapolitan and that's okay. That's my answer. That's my cut.
Okay. I consider myself mint chocolate chip. Um, since her mouth just hit the floor, let's put Kaylani in the hot seat.
I'm sorry, I need to read the question just one more time.
Yes, ma'am. The question is, do you think the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted community is focused too much on labeling and not enough on true advocacy or acceptance?
Well, since we're talking about us specifically, I say, yeah, I think everybody's just too focused on labeling. Just be what you're going to be and just go with it. I mean, we focus on too much of the wrong thing anyway. So, in short, yes. No explanation needed. Yes.
All right, all right. She diva with a two tonight. Uh Peach, let's go to headquarters.
Oh, okay. So I know Vonda is already knows what I'm about to say with this question. So to me, when it comes to labels amongst ourselves, we don't need them. But when you're talking about advocacy, you need the labels. The labels is what gets you the money, number one. And secondly, how are we going to educate people on the outside of our community without using labels? So that's where they're important. That's how people come to understand our community better. Without them, we just look like a whole bunch of mush together, and it's further confusing for a homophobe or a heterosexual person that's unaware. Um, but that is my thoughts on it. So much to say here. It's just a lot to say here about this. And is it enough true advocacy? I think hmm, I think we focus too much on politics. And for me, when you're enforcing laws on people, you're just arming them with more ammunition to fight back. I think for us, we need to fight on a social level. So again, it just goes back to the labels, education, that type of advocacy, boots on the ground. And that's my answer.
All right, boots on the ground. Where them fans at? Oh, Smack. We gonna bring you to the hot seat. It's Peach fault, Smack. She threw me to the club.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to not be too long-winded because many of my friends are joining. They know how I feel about advocacy, but I'm gonna say yes and no. That yes and no. Labels can be very empowering, as Peach said. That's how certain organizations, you're able to get the monies that you need in order to run. They give people a language to affirm themselves, basically. But sometimes I feel that we can get too caught up in defining ourselves. That's why I mean, for someone called me to speak on something, that's cool, but I don't like labels. Anyone who truly knows me personally, I don't like labels. I don't like being called a stud. I'm just a smack. And that's how I tell. I'm smack. I'm a smack. And people be like, what is a smack? We ain't gonna get into that. Because that's me telling you I don't like labels. So, but when it comes to the real work and protecting each other and building community and fighting for equity and making sure that the most marginalized among us, we need to sit them labels to the side so that we can really advocate, so that we can really fight. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel, especially where there was a rise in Black trans women being attacked. You know what I'm saying? And Peirrce would tell you, like, I really didn't, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just learning about the trans community fully, and it's because of my girl. You know what I'm saying? And I began advocating back then when all of those trans Black women were being killed all throughout the country. You know what I'm saying? And I felt good getting my boy to do these T-shirts for me and my girl that says Black trans lives matter, because people didn't understand. Like, I had, yo, I'm telling you, every time I wear that shirt, people approach me with questions. I get a little nervous because I'm hoping I retain what I've learned to explain to them why it's important, because a lot of people didn't understand. But see, if us as a community set our labels to us to the side and truly advocate, when you see a part of our community being killed and taken out of here, you will want that same. If it were the gay men they were coming out, it was the lesbian, if it was the bisexual people they were targeting. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. Labels don't mean much if we not showing up for each other in real life. I'm just gonna keep it 100. I'm just saying, advocate, man. Try to keep it for I get passionate.
I love it, Tim. We got Tim. My fault. Stan, you in the hot seat, bro.
Okay. Well, sometimes labels are important for identifying. Like Peach was saying, we sometimes we have to use labels for the people outside the community to identify who we are. we focus too much on labels when it comes to people's personal choices. So I think we focus on that too much. Whatever I decide, and if I and then people have an opinion on it. We focus on that too much. Um, as far as uh, advocacy goes, um, I mean, it's like everything is hypocritical. We have people that are so-called activists in the community that only do it because of dollars or notoriety. They're not really what I call activists. They acting like um, and you have real activists. So we have those things, and then as far as hypocrisy, it's so much hypocrisy, but I don't turn my back away from it because that's just part of life. We're gonna have hypocrisy no matter where we are. And that's just part of our. I'm uh, I'm part of hypocrisy. There's things with me that I'll say, and then somebody say, well, what, Stan, you hypocritical. Um, that's the balance of me. I mean, I can't. There's a balance there. So in some senses, yeah, I will admit, yeah, I'm hypocritical to a lot of things, but I think that's what balances me out. Because I'm not set in one way, and my mind is very open to everything. So I don't sit and put when I try to understand people. I don't sit and put judgment on it. I try to open my mind to understand why people do the things they do and why they do what they do. I don't try to judge it and automatically say this is what something should be or something should, the way things should be. Um, I've seen activists get out there that I know are just total bullshit. That ain't really activists, but they sit back and just talk a game. They want to be on TV. They want to do all these things, and they try to turn celebrity. So, like Pete said, with labels, sometimes we have to use labels for people to identify, to make people outside the community understand really who we are. I hate labels, but sometimes a guy go out there and kill somebody. We don't sit back and say, we always put labels on it. It was a black guy that did it. A black guy killed. We just don't say a man did it. We have to put labels on it so people can identify with what it is, and then to allow us to make judgments on that situation. You know, so I know when I talk, I hope y'all be understanding me sometimes because I do be going to different places, but that's how my thing is. We do have too much labeling sometimes, but sometimes we need the labeling. We're all hypocritical. We all are. But that's the balance of what we are. And, there's no one that's not hypocritical. Um, because we do have certain hypocrisies in our life. So, and we make exceptions to things. So we can believe in something, but then we make exceptions. So that's my answer.
Good deal. Good deal. Um, for me, I think we do focus a little bit too much on some of the labeling, but I feel like the people who are focusing on the labeling are people who don't really understand the power of the advocacy behind it. Um, I feel like there are some in any lifestyle. I feel like there are some who understands if I let my voice be heard, it'll get me to a place that will bring more attention. But then there's some who understands the power of their voice actually being heard. So I think it all falls back on how much we educate ourselves on why exactly are we doing the labeling. It's like in any aspect of the world, even like in the church, where I feel like, there could be too much labeling on one denomination over another. But I feel like the same in the LGBTQIA plus community. I feel like sometimes there's a lack of advocacy because I don't understand how powerful it is. But because I finally can open my mouth and be proud of myself, I'm gonna now label everything I do for the sake of the attention. And so I feel like that's when we need to take a hold of the people that we see doing that and really educate them on the power of their voice, so that we can then create more advocacy for our for this for the community as a whole. Um, so tonight, guys, we are discussing heteronormative thinking and relationships. Oh, go ahead, Smack. I see your hand up, baby.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, while we're on this, before we move away, people need to understand there's a difference between an advocate and an activist, and
Mm-hmm.
they need to choose which one they are. An activist, if you're getting a paycheck for what you're doing, that's crazy. That's not active. That's not being an activist. I ain't never got a paycheck for nothing I do that I feel close to my heart. I'm getting out there and getting it done. Advocates usually, inside using their voice, like you said, Andre, they're usually helping get laws changed, things of that nature. But an activist is out there yelling hard and bringing, out there bringing bringing it to the forefront. And I just want our viewers to know that there's a difference. And please, research it for yourself. Um, the difference in the two. But I just wanted to make that, known, to be honest, because they take direct action, to bring change. Activists do. We're a little bit louder. An activist is very strong. An activist is the person that's telling you, it won't be televised. You're moving in the background, you shaking up things, you sitting out on people's lawns, knocking on doors who make policy change. You just being bold about it. Advocate's gonna, the table's already sat, the table's already there, and they just pulling up a seat and being able to talk. So I just want to put that out there, and maybe stand people to change up those people in Atlanta. That's crazy that they're looking for a paycheck to be an activist. They got it all wrong. That's crazy. I'm so glad I'm not down there. I'll probably be dead by now if I lived in Atlanta. But I just wanted to share that.
Oh, it's good for the education. To book Smack for your next table talk, please contact Peach directly. There is a 20% management fee up front.
Facts.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we are talking about heteronormative thinking inside of a relationship. And before we dig deeper, I wanted to try to throw like an easy question out to people that kind of can, stir the pot, but not turn the flame up just yet. So I wanted to throw out exactly to our panelists, what does a relationship look like to you? What does a relationship look like to you? And what better person to start with than our very own creator, Peach?
For some reason, I knew you were going to call me, right? I was just waiting. I was like, I'm going to be called. A healthy relationship is two self-aware people that are mature enough to be able to self-assess and actually communicate. And I mean, you could work it out. Y'all can actually make the relationship work, come to a common space. But if you're self-aware, you most likely will meet the correct person for your life, right? Where it's not that difficult and you don't have to make all of those changes. So I would say two self-aware people. That's my answer.
All right, all right. She took the back way. I just knew she was gonna go deep with that answer. I was looking for Juanita Bynum, and she gave me Sarita Jakes. So I feel some type of way. Vonda Smack, what does a relationship look like to you?
I I'm gonna add on everything that Peach said, but I also want to put this on it. You know, a relationship, it to me is rooted in trust. Number one, peace. Gotta have peace. It's got to be some mutual respect there and growth. It's not about fitting into some mold, meaning what society thinks our relationships are supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's about two people creating their own rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Peach and I are both fire signs, but we got our own rhythm. Um,
I'm a water sign.
yeah,
I'm not a fire sign.
she's a water sign. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Lord Jesus, please forgive me. I knew she was gonna come on. Um, I've been through enough to know that I've been through, a couple of relationships to know that love should never come with conditions that shrinks who you are as a person. And that's like really big to me. If our love is dependent on you trying to change me, we don't need to be together. And a lot of my friends I see are not in healthy relationships. And when we speak, I speak on that. A healthy relationships allows you to be, a healthy relationship allows you to be fully seen and fully loved, flaws and all. You just got to be able to speak that and put that out there.
I like to add to that. When we start to talk about relationships, I I think we need to take gender out of it. Take the gender out of it and go with an open mind and heart and find your true partner and mate. I think we miss the mark when you start to um stay within restrictive norms based off of society. Now, if that's who you are, if you know, like I said, it's two self-aware people. If you are self-aware and you understand that you're heterosexual, then by all means go out and find the opposite sex. But if you know that you are not, have your heart open, go out into the world and find who you need to find. Two people in a relationship doesn't always look like Adam and Eve. Sometimes it's Steve and Steve, Eve and Eve, and then whomever else, and however else you see it for yourself. But you just got to be self aware and be able to make that connection, be able to communicate and compromise. That's just what it is.
Bang, bang.
All right, now that she has gotten off of the floor, Ministry Kaylani, we putting you. And I, oh yeah, I see them slay you smooth out because while they were talking, you said, I watched you. I watched you. They slayed you, girl. So now that we didn't pull the cover back off you and got you up off the floor, we gonna put you in the hot seat.
Woo, that was some good stuff. I think for me, I approach most relationships kind of the same way, whether it's romantic, business, family. A relationship is a relationship. I think that, like they said, it's two, like Pete said, two self-aware people who come together, and I believe that there is an exchange and a meeting of the minds for expectation. And I know people don't like that, but you have to understand what that person, what you want to receive from that person, and whether they're ready or in a place to give you what you feel like you want to receive, and what are you bringing to the table to give to that person. You know what I'm saying? Because we always want to talk about what you giving me, what you giving me, but what are you bringing? I'm not talking about materialistic things. Some of us are emotionally in an emotional deficit. Some of us have not dealt with our trauma, have not dealt with our past, and we bring people into our lives, and there's no expectation that, hey, I might need you to help me with this. I might need you. We just expect for people to just know what they're supposed to do, and I think that you have to have a meeting of the minds where there's the expectation laid out, so that when you get to a point in your relationship where you're looking like, hey, I'm not getting, what I need, there was clear expectation. So that's where I stand. People don't like that because it makes them accountable for the things that go on in their lives. But hey, I mean, that's just, it is what it is.
I like that hat.
Listen, y'all showing off tonight. Y'all showing off. I'm glad I'm not in the hot seat yet. Tim.
It's an ex-boyfriend's. Thank you.
Oh, the next boyfriend's. Uh-oh. Oh. When you're not here, I sleep. Oh, Tim. All right.
A relationship is something that grows from friendship. A relationship is a process that starts with courtship. So by the time you actually get to the actual relationship, you actually know the person that you're with. A relationship is a mutuality. A relationship is two people who pour into each other. A relationship is something that should bring you peace. It's something that should bring you comfort. A relationship is a situation where you make sacrifices, where you grow together and you build together. A relationship is wanting for your other half in the same way you want for yourself. A relationship is understanding that we was the past. I'm sorry, I and me was the past, and we are the present. I don't have a mold. I don't have an ideal person. There are certain qualities that I admire in people, and the more of those qualities that you possess, the more I'm going to want to be with you every day. That's what a relationship is to me. Of course, trust and patience and communication are things that are a necessary part of every relationship. But all the things that I named, that's what I feel ideal relationship consists of. That's my answer.
All right. We then went from gospel to 70s soul. And now we about to get that. Listen, that man threw in some
The good
Luther,
stuff.
some
The
Eddie
good
and
stuff.
Gerald. He threw in some Tina Marie and Stephanie Mills in that answer. He got y'all worked up like the intruders and dropped down like Teddy P. All I was waiting for him to do was start begging like he sweat. We was gonna be all right. But we gonna throw it on to the man of the hour, Stan. Stan, we put you in the hot seat, bro. What a relationship look like to you?
Okay. I think I talked about this before. I kind of talked about it different times, but relationships to me is to be enjoyed. And when you meet someone, you accept them for what the person that you met. Once you start trying to mold somebody into something else, or somebody tries to mold you into somebody else, now you're starting to put work into something. And I think I talked about this before. And in a relationship, if you just got to keep working on it, then it ain't to be. Because now you're trying to change me into something. You loved me when you first met me. Now you want to mold me into something. I met you and I loved you for what you were, but now we're deeper into a relationship. Now I want to change you into certain things. And so once you start doing that, now you're taking people out of being themselves. Now they're acting to to be in this relationship to make it work, and it's not real. And this is things I've learned, and I'm not throwing my ideals on anybody, but to me, a relationship is just enjoy ourselves. You are the way you are. When I met you, you were this way. I'm not going to try to change anything about you because when I met you, that's how you are. Now, if I have issues with that, then I'm not going to sit. I'll move on. I'm not going to try to change you. I'm not going to try to change anything about you because now I'm not getting a real person. Because once you get into that first argument, the first thing that's going to happen is I changed this for you. I did this for you. And that's the first thing that's going to happen is that I did this because of you. My thing is you accept people as they are. Um, the differences that people have in relationships, it doesn't have to be. I mean, we can have disagreements on a lot of things, but one thing we're not going to disagree on is why are you the way you are. I don't like the way you eat. You don't eat to your food. You don't do. You just you get into things. So relationships is supposed to be enjoyed, and you grow together with that. But don't ever try to change anybody. And never. And one more thing, you can never control another human being. And that's where people have their problems. You try to control another person. And these are just things I learned. So the next relationship I get in, I'm going to accept it, and I'm not going to sit back and say, okay, well, she's got all these damn flaws that I got personal issues with, but I'm going to try to deal with it. No more. If you got flaws, I'm going to accept them. Things about me, accept. But once we start getting there trying to change each other and change something about somebody, and I'm going to take you out of who your character is and who you are, and you try and take me out of who I am, now we're working on something. And now it becomes a job. Now we become people we gotta deal with each other now. We're not enjoying ourselves. We're dealing with each other. And then we're doing all these things to try to keep the relationship together. And then we wind up hating coming home, hating this, we're gonna fight, we're gonna do this. And it just turns into a whole and yet people think that's the normal thing to do. Right now, I get out and do things. I'm around people, and I'm around people that want to be around me and enjoy being around me. I'm around people that I enjoy being around, that I want to be around, and that's the greatest thing you could do. And I'm not trying to control anybody. I'm not trying to change your life. I'm not trying to mold you, and you ain't trying to mold me into something. And then we got to sit back and go to counseling and to all this. We're going through all these things, and then we got to bring third parties in, counselors, for somebody to sit back and tell us how to sit back and try to be together, which we should be doing that ourselves. We shouldn't have a third party. We should, so once it gets to that point, it's not worth it. It really isn't, because somebody's going to want to get hurt real bad, and really are. So, like I said, you meet me, things you see about me, you say, damn, I don't like this about him, but hey, I'm going to deal with it. I meet you, things about you, I say, well, I'm going to deal with it. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back and try to change you into something else. Ain't going to happen. Because that's where we have problems. And like I say, the next thing happens is, I changed for you. I did this for you. And when you start doing shit for me like that, then you're not doing what's true to you. And you're not being true to me. So that's my answer. Enjoy the relationship and don't control another human being, because you can't. I'm done.
Peach, I see your hand.
I like what Stan said, but I think, what should be stated is we need to leave the representative at home. When you meet somebody, You put on this fake persona. A lot of
Y'all
people
there?
do. They have this fake persona. They are
I
this
can't hear
person,
nobody.
they are that person. And then you connect with them. You think you got the right person for you. You think they're self aware because, again, the persona makes you believe that. But then once all of that falls, you realize I'm with a person that's unaware of who they are. They sold me a whole nother person, and this is not working. Of course, we're going to argue. We're not going to get along. So, if you want a relationship to be great, come as yourself to the table. Leave that persona at home. We don't want that person. I don't want to know them. I don't want to have to figure that out. I just want to get to know you. And like Stan said, if it doesn't work, then I'm good with that because I'm self aware and I'm okay. When you're self aware, you're okay with being with you. You're okay with saying, okay, this is not going to work. You're not a part of my plan. So that's all I wanted to add. But I do agree with Stan. It doesn't take all of that. But in the beginning, you have to come as yourself.
All right, Zay, you in the hot seat.
That's y'all's question. I'll let y'all
Can you hear me? Okay. Zay said he's gonna skip this question. He's gonna go to the next question. Um, so for me, I kind of tie into where everybody just spoke from. Um, you definitely got to be who you are up front to give people at least the honest opinion to say if this is who they want to deal with and who they not. Um, I believe to bring expectations to the table. You know, this is what I'm looking for. And, you know, if you say that you're looking for somebody who's going to do X, Y, Z, then you ought to be okay with being accountable to making X, Y, and Z happen. It's going to take time. It will take patience. It could take some work. Um, I don't always say that being who I am, I don't always say that counseling is not necessary because sometimes I came to the table unhealed. And so that counseling could assist me with getting my proper healing so that we can be who we are called to be together. Because there can't be a together if I'm still unhealed from something that happened, you know, umpteen years ago, and I'm still trying to get through it myself. So I have to be okay with being who I am, but I'm not, you know, part of today, especially in today's society. A lot of people are just not okay with being who they are because they haven't allowed themselves to heal from their past wounds, or they don't know how to get over the hurdle of the trauma that holds them. Um, and then I just believe that everything else comes with plans and just having fun together. When you have fun times together, yeah, you can play in the world, but you got to have a plan and a vision to how you're going to make that succeed. I'm a firm believer in our people perish from the lack of knowledge, and or the lack of a vision. And so I feel like when visions gather, then you can begin to say, okay, this is how we're going to make us. This is how we're going to put us into succession mode, and not just people who are tolerating each other and being okay with being tolerated. It's a difference between I love you and I'll tolerate you. And so I feel like for me, a relationship is not two people who tolerate each other, but it's two people who love each other enough to make each other successful. So, with that being said, let's dig deep. Um, Tim, how do you define heteronormal expectations?
It's expecting me to do what your brother or your uncle or your father does. It's expecting Kaylani to do everything that your mother, your sister, or your daughter does. That's normal for them because that's who they are. That's not us. Why are their guidelines applied to our lives? when that's not who we are. I mean, that's basically how I see it, how I feel about it.
I like it. Kaylani, how do you define heteronormative expectation?
A fool is a mess. Because the first thing they want to ask, I know especially like in gay relationships, who's the man? Who's the woman? Like I think it's just so dumb. Like people are people. I think it's a mess. I think when you start having those types of expectations for people, you kind of miss the beauty in people being individuals. So that's my answer. It's a fool.
Okay. Zay, how do you define heteronormative expectations?
I don't know. I would just say like I don't know. I'm probably confused on your stuff, but I feel like they compare gay men to straight men, and at the end of the day, we're all still men. It doesn't matter if you're feminine or if you're masculine, because we all got the same traits. Some people just do things differently than another person would, but when it comes to the male on male or females with females, they do always want to know like, well, who's this and who's that, and not like as if they're just the same people. So I feel like they set standards for every person to be the same when we're all different, no matter what it is of the lifestyle you in.
Okay. Smack, how do you define heteronormative expectations? I see that smile.
Um, it's gonna be wild one, right? Um, like I said, heteronormative expectations to me are like unspoken rules that society pushes. But you know what's crazy is a lot of what I was taught by Boney back in the day came from uh, like heterosexual relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because she was always the one who took care of her household, paid the bills. Um, she was the dominant one in the household. It wasn't until probably, for me, probably about 10 years ago, I fell out of that. And I'm going to tell you, like, I fell out of that because that was who I was all the way up until a certain age. I paid college tuition. I was paying bills. I mean, living at two different houses. I was paying car notes. It was a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, this can't be. And sometimes, you reflect on life. And it wasn't until, the relationship that I'm in now that I really continue to change that upbringing that I had. And because I used to be, I don't like being told no, and I get told no a lot. And that was something new for me to adapt to. And it took conversations. You feel what I'm saying? And so back to the question, I'm learning that, what we saw as kids growing up in a two-parent household, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it is today. That's something that society and that, and please nobody be upset when you hear this, that old time religion type mess taught you back then. You feel what I'm saying? And I learned that it's not like that in this day and age. But hetero normative is people thinking that, the people always say because I dress like a boy, they think I'm the man of the relationship, and that's not what it is. That's not how it is in our relationship. We're still very much two women who love each other and doing our thing. She may get out there. I don't do no painting. She'll get out there and do work that a man would do. You know what I'm saying? But who's to say that That's a man's job. You feel me? I just know I ain't painting. I know I ain't laying no carpet. I know I ain't putting no sheet metal up or sheetrock or whatever. I'm not doing none of that. And people would think that that would be something that I do because of how society paints things. You know what I'm saying? And this thing where women are supposed to be submissive and the man is the leader of the house. That's not how it is. And I honestly, I feel like those expectations are limiting and damaging for everyone, to be honest. I'm going to leave it there. I ain't going to go no further.
Smack was going into her bag. If y'all didn't hear the wheel turning, I heard that thing crank up just a little bit. I was like, yeah, she about to dig into her bag. Stan, how do you define heteronormative expectations, bro?
I don't, and I don't address it. That's it.
All right, boss lady. How do you define heteronormative expectations?
Well, I roll with Stan. I personally don't believe in them. I think they are very limiting. But basically it's the Adam and Eve syndrome. Anytime you have the heteronormative deal, you talking about the female male archetype and all the gender roles assigned to them, and it's just limiting. I don't even know how people could live in that prison, but that's my definition.
All right, all right. Um, Vonna, Smack took my answers. She read my notes before the show. She read my book, and then she came on the show and she published it as if it was her own. And I feel some type of way. Now, I definitely agree with Smack on this, and same thing with Tim and Kaylani. It's definitely folk who don't realize that we put our shoes and our socks and our drawers and our pants on the same exact way. Um, you know, Ain't nothing changing. The buttons might be on a different side, but we all get dressed the same exact way. And so, you know, they expect one thing from one gender and one thing from another gender. It's like you pretty, so you can't get your hands dirty. I know a lot of female mechanics, and I know a lot of female plumbers, and they make more money than most of the men I know because they do the job right the first time. Um, so I just define them as expectations as role classification. This is what you have to do because you are a man, or this is what you have to do because you are a woman. If you're a boy, you have to play sports. I didn't play sports because sports didn't pay me, and my money was important. Um, yeah, so that's how I define those. Now, in the midst of speaking on heteronormative thinking, do you guys feel that the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted individuals stick to heteronormative thinking? And if so, why? And if I can just jump right into this answer, I say yes, because a lot of us have not been deprogrammed from how we were raised. That would be my answer off the top. But I'm going to go to headquarters and let Peach answer this first.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. You took the words right out of my mouth, Dre. Of course we do. You see it in our relationships. If Vonda and I are walking down the street, classic heteronormative relationship, female archetype, male archetype. If you see two, sometimes in gay male relationship, you see a feminine gay man and a masculine one. It's ingrained in us, in some of us. Um, in the case of Stan, you see Stan, you see a trans woman. That's the same archetype, right? So yeah, we indulge in it. Um, and okay, let's go into not just in how it looks and also behavior wise. Um, I can't speak for the men, but I can say being in a relationship with a masculine centered woman, and I've had maybe two, and I've dated a feminine woman. It was more freeing to be with the feminine woman because we didn't expect anything from each other. There was no archetype. We had to sit down and discuss our role in that relationship, what it would look like, and how it would work. But when you're with a masculine centered woman, there are expectations that is similar to being in a heteronormative relationship. The idea of a feminine woman wanting to be masculine centered or dressed that way, that stems from heteronormative behaviors. The idea masculine centered women have egos like men at times. I am entitled to the first piece of chicken, have my plate served to me, things of that nature. And that mirrors heteronormative behavior. Um, but with a twist because they still want the amenities of a female. So, yes, in our community, it is a lot of it, but then it kind of fades out when you start dealing with two types of the same person coming together, femme and femme, um, mask and mask. So that is my answer.
All right, all right. Well, we can't have one without the better half. Smack. Come on and smack us with an answer.
I just knew you was gonna call me next. So let me tell you, I'm a work in progress. You know what I'm saying? And if there's already gonna know what I said, especially there were certain rules that I live by because of my upbringing into this community. And my upbringing was based on heteronormative, you know, thinking. I'm keeping it real. I had to unlearn that. Unlearned almost everything that was taught to me so that I could love properly. You feel what I'm saying? And I learned that in the relationship I'm currently in. And so the answer to your question is yes, because I was sitting there repeating patterns. You feel what I'm saying? From different relationships because of what I was taught. You know what I'm saying? And we in our community have to unthink that to the point where it just didn't seem right to me, two masculine centered women together. But who am I to say what love looked like? You see what I'm saying? And now that doesn't bother me. Like back in the day, I used to go in. I'd be all over social media. I'd be all over social media going in about why that don't look right and why it's not supposed to happen. And I haven't said anything about that in years is because I had to unlearn a lot of what was taught to me so that I could learn to be in community with my people that I'm advocating for. You feel what I'm saying? And the man, let me tell you, life is great. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot about myself, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from my gay mom and dad back then. I'm not trying to take nothing away from them, but in order to really, you know, have a great relationship, you gotta some of the stuff I was holding on to, I had to let it go because it wasn't right.
All right. Timothy, you're up, sir.
Don't call me Timothy. My mother used to call me that whenever I was in trouble. I hate hearing Timothy.
I saw the way you jumped up.
Right. But I'm gonna start my answer off by piggybacking off of what Vonda said. We grew up in the same town and around the same people as far as our community is concerned. And I really had a country shade stream mentality until after I left my hometown. Um, Between leaving my hometown and being away from a lot of the things that damaged me, it allowed me to heal. And then I got into therapy which allowed me to heal, and it allowed me to realize a lot of things about myself, my rights and my wrongs, and it allowed me to rectify a lot of things about myself. So what was the question again? I
Do
got
you
lost.
do you feel LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted individuals stick to heteronormative thinking, and if so, why?
Okay, yes. So the point that I was trying to make is it took processes for me to get out of narrow, that very narrow thought process, that very narrow frame of thinking, to be able to observe more, to absorb more, and to respect people and understand people outside of the experiences that I had within myself. Yeah, that's my answer.
All right.
I'm going to say that they
Zay.
I feel like I don't feel like that we think on the same levels only because I feel like when it comes to our community we think outside the box and we think deeper into certain situations versus on the other hand I don't feel like when certain situations meet them at hand they actually really think about it like on a deep level they just quick to react back or answer it.
A lot of people don't listen for knowledge. A lot of people these days listen just to respond.
Facts. All right. Staying in the Ocean City, Salisbury trending area, Kaylani, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat.
I'm gonna agree with Vonda and Tim, because I was like that, like seriously, and I just think it's because of, not just because of how I was raised, but because of what I like. I would see or hear people say, two trans girls was together. I was just like, what? Like, what's the point? Two masked guys are together. Like, what? What's going on? Because you have that ingrained in your head that this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to look like. But as you grow, and thank God we have the ability to grow and to evolve. You start to see things through different eyes, and you start realizing that sometimes we can be prejudiced right in our own community, and we can be, just as judgmental as heterosexual people are in this community. So yes, in short, my answer is yes.
All right. Let's head up to the Broad Street Bullies. Stan the man. You in the hot seat. Can't hear you, Stan. Unmute yourself.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna say it only because, like Peach was saying before, how people, you when you see me walking down the street, how we define things, and it's not so much that how this is all my opinion. It's not how we define it, but there's also human instincts, that also play a part in that. Um, I date trans women. I don't date men, but my human instinct is female attraction. You see what I'm saying? But there's something else I want more than just the female attraction. So that's why it becomes trans attraction. So a part of it is basically just human instinct, whereas a man, I'm attracted to a female. So um, but that plays a part. That plays a part in it. So some of it is all human instincts. It's our instinct. It's what we are. So, um, you know, that's my answer. It's, you know, it's you know, and like I say, even with guys that date other men, there's still that instinct part because one of them is going to be, one is attracted to the more feminine side of the person, and there's no set logic in this. It's um, whatever you like, that's what you like. But I'm saying but human instinct plays a big role in what we do in our decisions. Like Peach likes a more masculine person, which is geared toward more of a man. And that's just part of the instinct of it. And vice versa with Smack, wanting more feminine because it's part of instincts in how she is. You see, so I'm not trying to make this complicated, but the bottom line is the answer is yes.
Just for the record, I like everybody, whoever I'm
Okay.
attracted to.
Okay, yeah. And that's then again, that's it. There's nothing set in it. And then you don't have to live by what you think people think you should be. So yeah.
Jump on in, Tim.
I'm I don't understand why people are so bothered by everybody else's situations.
Right.
See, I'm attracted to masculine energies and feminine energies. So the things that turn me on about different people are different strokes for different folks. It's different things for different reasons.
Right.
But I've never looked at two feminine guys and said, why are they together? Or looked at two masculine guys and said, why are they together? Or looked at two butches and said, why are they together? Or looked at two femmes and said, why are they together? I just look at them and see, damn, those two people are happy together and they make each other happy, and that's it.
Right.
I never take a second thought to think what they're doing in their bedroom or what. I I don't care. Is it ignorant that I don't care? I mean, those two people are happy, and that's the bottom line. I don't understand the purpose of being upset about why two people are together. That's none of that's coming home with you. None of that is in your bedroom or your relationship. Like, why does what those two people do in the privacy of their home, in the privacy of their relationship, why does it bother you so fucking much?
Because they happy and living their life and you not.
I don't get it either, Tim.
I'm gonna say this before I had to unlearn behavior, I could speak on it. It wasn't until I got outside of my box, being in the country, and went to I'm gonna tell you where it all happened for me, where it started. I went to Atlanta Pride, and there I saw so much. And I think it was called Piedmont Park or something like that. I don't know. That might have been Philly. I can't remember. But anyway, you got this country girl down here in Atlanta at this Pride, and we at this big behind picnic, and I'm seeing masculine centered women with female, uh, feminine female styles to their hair, and I wasn't used to that. Okay. And it wasn't until I spoke to somebody from Atlanta and I said, look, I'm a country bumpkin. I kept it real with them, and I appreciate them taking time to help me understand the lay of the land, because there were big black masculine men with other big black masculine men. And I never seen this before. And I kind of think like my eyes was like, I just felt like I was kind of sheltered. You know what I'm saying? But I used to be that person like, yo, ain't no way two studs that look at brothers supposed to be together. that was some of my thing, but the swing, y'all know what I'm trying to say. And it wasn't until somebody just started having a conversation to me, especially when I went to New York Pride, and I just told them, like, look, I grew up in a small city. They didn't even know where Salisbury was. And I said, I had a gay mom and dad, but this is what they taught me. Can you explain, you know, your love with this person so that I can understand and change the way that I'm thinking? Because to me, it doesn't look right to me. And when somebody in both of two different cities just took their time to explain it, it made it so much better. And then getting into the relationship that I'm in, and learning how to educate myself on things that I wasn't sure of, because I was brought up into this lifestyle back in the 80s. And I just knew gay or straight. That was it. You know what I'm saying? But when you start traveling outside of your state and you start seeing things that you ain't used to seeing because it ain't normal in where you're from, that's how I started. You got to unlearn the things that you were taught in order to really thrive in this community. Because if not, people, you might, what I mean, somebody gonna knock you out. You know what I'm saying? If you're taking your views, which is some messed up views, to be honest. And I used to get mad when Peach would tell me, "Oh, how can you feel that way when you're in the community?" And I had to learn this stuff, y'all. And some of this I carried for like 20 years. This is how I live my life. And man, you gotta unlearn it in order to thrive in the community. You gotta unlearn it. And just say, hey, look, I want to be educated. Education is key. And let me leave it there. But I was that person. Like, it shouldn't matter who a person decides to love. It just didn't look right in the community that I was brought into. You know what I mean? And the gay community that was surrounding me, you didn't see those things. In Salisbury, Maryland, I'm keeping it real.
I love it. I love it. Kaylani is over there having a whole Baptist fit on Smack's answer. I promise y'all, somebody go get that lady a cloth, because y'all gonna have to pick her back up off the floor real soon. Um, so it seems as if society has been structured to fit heteronormative worldviews, and we kind of just touched on this. All right, Murray Stevenson, we see you shouting out Salisbury in the building. You don't got to put it in all capital letters like that, though, bro. We understand. Shout your community, but shout it regularly. You ain't got to scream it. We see it. Now, we thank you for tuning in though tonight. Maurice Stevenson, Salisbury is rocking the building tonight. We see that society has been structured to fit heteronormative worldviews. What do you guys think should be changed so members of the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted population feel included? Um, for me, I would just say, we should tell some of the world to just mind their business. Like, my love is my love, and who I love is who I love. And so if you look at it as just, he love who he loves, a lot of our situations we wouldn't have to worry about. Stop trying to put me in the box of who I love and how I should love them. That's my answer. We gonna give it to the lady with the master plan. Peach, what's your thought about this?
Okay, so we on the heteronormative worldviews
Yes, ma'am.
question. Get rid of them. You want to solve a problem? Get rid of them. Um, and then once you get rid of the heteronormative worldviews, let's get rid of orientation. We can get rid of sexual orientation, and then everybody just have free love. You free to love whoever you want, and then we can move on from that, and then get rid of labels, and then we can move on and get rid of LGBTQ plus, and then eventually nonprofits such as mine won't even exist anymore because everybody have self acceptance and self love. So I say let's get rid of these heteronormative views, the Adam and Eve syndrome. Um, Once we do that, of course, there's going to have to be changes in religion. It's going to be so much mass change. It's going to be ridiculous. But that is the solution. And that is the only way we're going to feel comfortable. That is the only way we're going to be accepted. Until then, lace up your bootstraps and keep it pushing. Be the example, be the change in the world that the young generation needs to see. Until then, that's my answer.
I like it.
All right, Zay, you're in the hot seat.
I don't even know how to answer the question, frankly.
Okay. Jumping down the ladder. Tim, you in the hot seat.
Well, I think it's about self. I think once people change, once prejudice changes and the restrictions and closed doors that come along with the prejudice, I think everything else are things that every people have to work towards to overcome. I don't think it's ever been a cakewalk for any group of people ever to be their own people and to be respected and loved as their own people. But it's that discriminatory reach. Once that is gone, then life will be life for us. Everything else are things that need to be worked out amongst self. That's my answer.
Tim, I like your shortness tonight. You done got fresh to death on us and came on here, and now, you concluding it with that's my answer.
Yeah, you got jokes tonight. You got
That's
jokes tonight, Pastor.
that's my answer. I'm sticking to it. It is so. Smack, what you got for us in the hot seat?
I'm gonna come from an advocate slash activist, a little bit of both. What we need is real inclusion, not performative gestures. Oh, let's go ahead and include the community in. Nah, like, I feel like some of the stuff that's out here, like I'm talking about laws and everything, are just performative gestures. I just want to be honest. And what I mean by that, like, let's have some inclusive education, some legal protections, healthcare equity, like, especially for, and I'm sorry I'm about going there, and I know Kalani appreciate it, but especially for Black trans women, you know what I mean? Where's the safe housing? Like, where's the real representation in politics, media, and business? I mean, and this is nothing to the people who are LGBTQIA that are in politics, but what have you done for me lately? And I'm gonna leave it right there. But we also need to create spaces in our community. And big shout out to I and Me, because that's where I get a lot of my education. I'm gonna keep it real with you. To talk about things like mental health, healing from trauma, love beyond gender roles, as Peirrce spoke on today. And that's just to put it a little bit out there. But we need to be breaking down the systems that were never built with us in mind. And like Peach said, throw it all away and let's build some new ones.
I love it. I love it. Stan, the man. You in the hot seat, bro.
I mean, all I can say is just be, you know, who you are, um, and don't be apologetic to yourself. You know who you are to people. You don't have to explain anything about yourself to anybody. So my thing is that's just it. Just and stop thinking about how people think about you. You know, we worry too much about how other people think about us. and that really don't matter. So I hope that's the answer. That but I just kind of don't I don't care what people think about me because it doesn't matter what they think because they don't affect my life one way or another. So people gonna have their opinions. Um, People can think about our community one way. I'm not gonna fight nobody to sit back and try to change somebody's mind about anything because your mind is what it is. I can't change your mind about nothing. If your mind is set one way, that's where your mind is gonna be. So for me to sit back and try to convince you of something different, it ain't gonna happen. Because that's what you believe in. That's why we have issues with religion and things like that. So but all I'm saying is, like I said, I just follow by example. People see, hey, you know what? This is the way this dude is. This is the way he is. You know, and you just accept it. So I mean, that's about the best answer I think come up with.
All right, our residential diva, Kaylani, you're in the hot seat.
That's funny. Um, I have to agree with Peach. I think that when you throw it all away and you get rid of everything, then everybody can feel included. Once you remove the barriers that separate everybody, that's when everybody can be included. Because if you continue to keep going the way we've been going, nobody's going to be included. It's going to be like Vonda said, it's going to be performative. It's going to be like a token, like here, we're doing this for you. So you can feel like we're including you. But in all reality, it's just to shut you up and have you sitting over there like, oh, okay, they gave us this, so we'll take that and that be it. So I think we should just remove it all.
All right, all right. While we are removing things, let's find out this answer. In what ways are heteronormative and LGBTQIA or trans attracted relationships similar, and in which ways do they differ? And we're going to start with staying in the hot seat.
I really don't. I really don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's how they. I mean, if we're different than the heterosexual community, so I mean that's the difference right there. But I don't know. Throw the question at me again. Let me.
All right, I said, in what ways are heteronormative and LGBTQIA or trans attracted relationships similar, and in what ways do they differ?
Uh, they're similar because a relationship is a relationship. So we're similar in that, and then we're different because uh, we are attracted to the difference. We're attracted differently, but we're the same because we're human beings. So relationship is relationship. We're attracted. We're attracted. So we're similar, but it's just how our attractions are different. So that's how we're different. But we love a certain way, they love a certain way, but the bottom line is we all love.
All right, Zay, you're in the hot seat.
I'm gonna say that I feel like they're the same only because we're all bumping on the same type of people. Let's per se. I think it's the same. Yeah.
All right, Kaylani, you're in the hot seat.
Okay, sorry. The answers I have just heard, yes. Um, yeah, I'm a pass. I'm a pass. on this. I'm gonna use my pass for the night. I'm a pass on this.
I'm screaming. Tim, you and I.
So I think they're similar in the sense of why they're similar in the sense of two people desiring companionship and wanting to be together. But the one thing that I always hated, and the one thing that always stirred a relationship wrong when I was dating men, was they would have heterosexual girlfriends that they would talk to about everything in our relationship. And heterosexual women give gay men bad advice because the advice that they give them is advice on how they handle a heterosexual man, which we are not. And there are differences in our unions. There are differences in same-sex unions that set them aside from heterosexual unions. So the reasons that we're together are all the same: heterosexual, homosexual. But what our relationships consist of is different. So I think that's what the differences set us apart from them. And it's not healthy to try to force a heterosexual situation in a homosexual relationship. Those are my thoughts and beliefs. That's my answer.
Miss Peach.
I love these answers, especially Kalani's. Okay. So how are we the same? Basically, emotion wise, we all want love, stability. Some of us want family. Some of us want jump offs. And I'm just gonna go a little bit further. Is a thing called, well, a term called heteroflexible people. You want the community, so we have that in common too. You like to indulge in the community for a night, a day, but then you want to go home to your heterosexual wife, husband, or whomever you got. So we have that in common too. Where what's different about us? Well, we just love a little bit different. The person on the side of us may look like us. We might have the same genitalia. Sometimes in our community we don't. You know, but that's mostly the difference. It's really not too much difference because, oh God, I don't even want to say this to the heterosexual people. If this doesn't apply to you, um, some of y'all are actually into us. Let's just not even play a game, right? Y'all are into us. So there's really not too much of a difference. Y'all just like to have that representative in the church, in the public, in the social spaces.
Can
But
you say that line one more time? I don't think the difference.
yes, so it's not too much of a difference. It's not. To be honest, I think maybe only 30% of the population is actually straight, straight as an
Right.
arrow.
The rest of them be showing up at my job at 2:30 in the morning trying to take me home.
They at,
But that's my answer.
or they at AIM trying to get a word. Smack.
I mean, she just said it all. There ain't nothing to say. I pass. She said it all. She spoke for the whole panel. Chill.
I love it. I love it. she
Yes.
she definitely did speak for the whole panel. She took my answer completely. Peach, when we discussed tonight's show, what you didn't tell me is that you and Smack was going to steal my stuff. And so for now on, I ain't sending no answers to y'all again. Now, y'all hot tonight. Y'all hot tonight. I am loving this show tonight. We're gonna get a lot of feedback tonight. Y'all already got us kicked off the earth when we did the map show. And then y'all talked about the Save Folk last week. And yeah. All right.
Yeah, that map show was something.
Y'all keep playing, they gonna ban us. Um you know Trump be looking for ways to ban us, folk. Um do you notice any traditional gender roles or heteronormative expectations in your relationship? We gonna start with the two that make us all get paid. Peach and Smack. Uh-huh. This your question.
Because I'm still a work in progress. I would say sometimes they creep in because I'll raise my voice and be like, what did I say? And then I have to remind because I don't want that big hand come across. It's like I'm playing, y'all. Nah, for real though. I'm playing, baby. Nah, but for real though, sometimes, I'm very transparent and I'm going to be honest. Sometimes, and I've explained to y'all, the panel, and I've explained to viewers, I had to unlearn some things and I'm still a work in progress. So I'm gonna say, yeah, sometimes, that stuff do creep in, we carry old patterns. And I'm one of them, I'm one of them people that carry some old patterns. And sometimes when you've done something so long, it's a learning thing. And you'll unlearn it as your other half tells you, no, you don't do that. You're not gonna talk to me like that, or nah, you know what I mean? So I respect it. Um, we're two women, period, and we have to balance each other. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a balance, and I'm glad that she's patient with me. Um, you know, you know, we base our roles. This is real. We base our roles in our relationship. It's not off of gender. It's off of the strength.
The nigga, I'm
All right. So I think she pretty much said it, but she's not really elaborating on her. Um, Vonda is very traditional. I think it's because, again, like she said, her upbringing, not so much her gay mom and dad, but a lot of times she will always reference her dad. Like he was her idol. And I guess her that's what she wanted to base her masculinity on, the way she saw her dad. So it would be like one time, oh, she was sitting on my island. I have a long island in my kitchen, and I made dinner. I got a plate and I sat down to eat, and I was just wondering what the fuck is going on. Why is she still sitting there? And I asked, and she was like, "Oh, you ain't gonna make me a plate?" And I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with your legs? What's wrong with your hands? You can get a plate,
That
you
was the
know."
first check. I had not done that since.
Right. And so I knew at that moment I have to break some things, because for me, and this just comes from my upbringing, I lived in a traditional household and I did not like how my grandmother was treated. And me being a modern woman, I didn't want it for myself. So I had to get with her on several things that I saw that was too traditional for me. Um, the clothing thing, and this is gonna make y'all laugh. She had expectations of me looking like Beyonce every day, hair, nails, and all of these things. And see, because I'm combative, see, that's probably unfeminine. I decided to wear t-shirts and stuff because you're gonna get used to whatever I decide to give until we can get this together. And yes, she would try to raise her voice. And for me, again, we're two females. My mind is not trapped like that. When she would jump, I'm jumping too. We jumping together. You go to yelling, I'm going to yell. We gonna match the same energy until we can get this together. Our relationship wasn't, everybody admires it, But in the beginning, it used to be a little rocky. So again, Vonda would do a lot of masculine centered things and expected me to have a traditional grandma, big mama role, and I wasn't having it. She signed up for Big Mama and she got Medea.
Yo, you got come on. You going hold on. You better come with some phrases after I've changed. I had to unlearn some things, right?
Yes, you have learned a lot of different things. And kudos to you. But yes, to answer the question, I do see a lot of heteronormative behaviors in our relationships. And it's just not even the behaviors, it's also her mindset, which goes back to a spiritual thing. I believe this girl is a man trapped in a female body. She has her brain thinks she she thinks like a guy. I don't even see where the feminine where's the feminine part at? Only time I see it is when she's in pain or something like that. Everything else is masculine.
Peirrce. Peirrce. I grew up
Yes.
with Vonda. I grew up with Vonda. There was no feminine part. That's what Vonda since we were kids. T-shirt, blue jeans, baseball cap. That's
Now
it.
y'all, now y'all know I love Vonda. Not too much on Vonda now. Not too much.
All
But
right.
yes,
Thank you.
that well,
Kehlani,
I
I'm about to
hope
say the
I
same thing. I'm
answered
about
the
to say now. Wait a
question.
minute, pull her from under that bus because y'all keep riding right over.
We ain't riding over Vonda. Vonda knows this is the truth.
This is the
Of
That,
truth,
course.
and the truth shall
this
set
has
you
been
free.
Vonda. This has been Vonda our whole life. I've
Yes.
Yeah.
never. The one time I saw Vonda in a dress, when I finally stopped laughing, Vonda looked so uncomfortable. Like somebody like you be on Nickelodeon and somebody pours a bucket of slime all over. It just looked like the
Yeah,
dress
it's like
hurt. It looked
like a
like the
stiff
dress hurt.
look.
Yeah,
Yes.
it looked like the dress hurt her skin. So yeah,
And
I
then
mean, that's
it's the
always been
truth.
Vonda.
Yeah. And another thing, her ego is masculine.
She just fit in with all the guys.
Yes, her
She
ego
had
is very
she had
masculine.
female friends, and everybody accepted Vonda. You know what I'm saying? Nobody looked at it like, Vonda never wear a dress or Vonda always got that damn cap on. Nobody. That was just Vonda,
Yeah.
and that was just Vonda.
It's more than her clothes. Her ego is like a male.
Yes,
Um, she is the type that she wants you to check in with her like a male when you go to make decisions. You have to run it by Vonda first, or it's just the end of the day.
but
No,
that's how we were
You
raised.
gotta run
That's
it
how we
by
were
her.
raised.
And I'm like,
Kalani, help me out, cause let me just say, babe,
this
Yeah,
ain't
it's
hold
the
the
on,
1920s.
area. It's
hold
the
on.
area. It's the area. Because my grandfather was like that with my grandmom. And
Just
like you said, Peach, you had a different approach to it because you were like, you saw how she was treated and you didn't like how she was treated. I loved how my grandfather treated my grandmother. And so I kind of went the other way and was like, oh yeah, I need a man like that. So I think it's the area. Back in the day, the men were just, they were very controlling, Vonda. They
oh,
were very controlling.
Very controlling.
in my defense, let me get into it. I gotta get my defense in.
Uh-huh.
Just, I just like to know where I'm protective, and she knows that. Very protective. Dre, don't be laughing at me. I am very protective, and I just when she gets off work, if I don't like, I'll go crazy if I don't hear from her to know that she's okay. That's just who I am, and I am working on it. How about today? I didn't call you. I didn't text you.
Hey,
I
tell them where I tell you I'm at when you ask me.
minded my business.
Or where else am I at? I
I,
tell you I'm in hell. You
oh
want to come and join me?
yeah, yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
Pete.
I saw that for her. Yeah,
Come on, Pete.
I mean, I'm trying to change that, but to be honest, I think that that is a family thing because I check in with my mother like that.
I don't mind that piece.
You
It's
know,
just the decision piece.
oh
I
yeah,
have to run all decisions by you, or it's an issue, even if they're the right ones. She just have a male ego. That's
uh,
all.
I was
Even if it's
girl.
He
challenged,
just want to make sure y'all on the same page with the
no,
decisions. That's
she
all.
has a male ego. If you she doesn't like to be challenged, and that's even with outsiders. It's just like a male. You know, if you try to challenge your grandfather, he fly off the handle. Well, that's her. And that's all I have to say. That's my answer. But yeah, she's a male inside of a female's body, but then she revert to a female once she's in pain or it's something that she can't do, like paint the house or whatever. Then she's, I'm
Oh,
not a man.
hold
But
on.
every other time she's a man.
No, no, no. Hold on. I don't never say I'm no man. I don't do no painting, and I ain't painting no. If I know I can't paint, I'd rather go pay somebody who's a professional to come and do that. Why would I go paint and mess up the border, the trim, and have paint everywhere? I'm not. That's not me. I ain't getting
And
up
see,
on ladder.
and a woman will go look it up and try to paint with the woman. But see, that's the man right there.
I'll go pay somebody or find a buddy to do it. You know what I
That's
mean?
the man. Odds right here. Take your show back. But that's the
Kehlani,
man.
we're gonna go ahead and throw you in this hot seat because it's too hot for me.
I'm going to opt out.
Yeah, you used your one pass
I'm not
already.
stepping. I'm not stepping up. Y'all got it.
Come on, Jose.
Tim,
Could you repeat the question?
do you notice any traditional gender roles or heteronormative expectations in your relationship?
Well, yeah, they expect me to be a straight man. And I mean, that's not what I am. Like, I just I don't understand why everybody is so hung up on us being them when we're not them. Everything that applies to them doesn't apply to us. Like, it just, I don't know. I guess it's a mindset. It's a very traditional mindset. Like Vonda was saying, I'm the same way. Like, my younger siblings have shied away from me as an adult because I had to be an adult so early. So I'm used to protecting. I'm used to needing to know where you're at. I'm used to needing to know that you're safe. I'm used to having to take $30 and feed 4 people for a week. And once you're raised that way, and those are the responsibilities that are put on you, and that's the mindset that you have to be in all the time, when you get into relationships, that's your way. That's normally how you are. And it's not a matter of control, it's a matter of comfort and safety. When people are your responsibility, you want to know where they're at. It's not a control issue, it's not a domination issue, it's your comfort zone when you are the last resort or the main resort for all of these people that are relying on you. And it's something that until you realize that that's how you are, you don't go through the process of unlearning how to be that way. So some of us are used to calling in the middle of the day just to see if you're okay, asking where you're at. It's not a, I don't trust you, what are you up to, where you at? It's just give me a little relief to let me know you're okay so I can go ahead with the rest of my day because you just crossed my mind. I'm just calling to make sure you're okay. that's bred in some people to do that because that's what they've always had to do. And it'll take sometimes someone that you're dealing with this is one of the reasons why communication is very important, for someone to be able to sit down and tell me how they feel and how my actions affect them. That's why communication is of the utmost importance to me. That's my answer.
Stan the man. You in the hot seat, bro.
There's a lot going on. Give me the question one more time so I can kind of.
Do you notice any traditional gender roles or heteronormative expectations in your relationships?
Traditional gender roles?
Traditional gender roles or heteronormative expectations? Yes, sir.
Yeah, some of both. Some of both. You know, so some traditional, and yeah. So I'll just say yes, a little bit of both in relationships. So yeah.
Awesome. Believe it or not, like Zay and I have been actually discussing this, and I really want to say I think we both said like this is like we don't. We just came into this thing ready to do it and very equal on how we do everything. We do everything together, and we discuss a lot together to make sure that the decisions we make are something that we both agree to.
But I also say a little bit of traditional because I was like how Smack was too.
He didn't switch it up. Oh yeah, he was like Smack. When I cook, he thought like where my plate. Like I didn't just sit in that kitchen and cook. And he ain't got 2 feet to get up off that ass and come get his own damn plate. He was like that. Kaylani, you go on with that foolishness. And I'm gonna tell you why he was like that. Because originally, I would be like, here I cooked, so I go ahead and set the table because I'm a cook and I don't like everybody in my kitchen. And I'm sensitive about I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit. But then I got to a point of you getting real lackadaisical and you expecting a lot. So it became, bae, you ain't fixed me a plate. And I said, well, I put the plate on the counter. So I got you to the first step. Now you get yourself through the rest of the way and we're going to sit down and we're going to eat together. But at least we still had dinner together. Kaylani, don't you jump yourself in this thing because I see you trying to ask a question. I don't care about your question because you passed on this. So, yeah, that's my thing. I when we first started dating, I was like, okay, if I'm a cook, but at that time, too, in my defense, he was a guest in my house. And there's a difference between you being a guest in my house and a permanent figure. So, you was a guest. My granddaddy said you feed your guests, but you don't feed no nigga that's been here for more than 3 times, and this one moved in. So now you're not a guest. You are a permanent figure. You live here. And if you wanted to be served, you should have came out in the kitchen and helped me cook. You could have served yourself while we were cooking. But in the end, we don't really see the traditional or the heteronormative relationships anymore. Smack, tread lightly because I had pulled you from under a bus. Now I got my CDLs.
Hold on. And I'm pretty sure Zay may be able to relate to what I'm about to say. You ever been to a family function?
Hold on, push pause. Don't keep buttoning your top of your shirt up when you about to say something crazy.
Hold on.
I know the masculine stuff coming out.
Lord Jesus.
Before you start saying something crazy, you put your collar on. I'll be catching this.
Hold on. Check this out. I remember a function we went to. My baby looked beautiful, right? And I'm going to say it was a brunch. And I'm not going to put everything out there. But we were at a brunch. I went up there and got me something to eat. You know what I mean? Why you eating off my plate? Get your butt up and go get your own plate. But we've been together so long, I now fix both our plates when we're out and it's that type of setting. And even been at family functions, and I've gone and what would you like from up there? I even ask and bring him your plate so you don't have to do that. So I'm just like, come on, man, you ain't gonna pick me out to be this person. Cause and you know, I'm looking like my baby looking good, got on these high heels, you know what I mean? Let me savor the steps. You know what I mean?
It's
Now
sexy
at
of
family
you to do
functions,
it.
we both do that in replica. Like if I'm at his family's house, he will fix my plate. And his family will check him about fixing my plate.
But
She's
we
And
done it
did
once for me. Once.
and we
Once in all of these years.
we went to the family function and everybody, was making their plates, and I'm just sitting in the room just waiting for a plate. And his family is saying to him, "What's wrong with him? Why he ain't coming here and make him a plate?" And I'm like, "Oh, I thought you were in there making me a plate," but no, he was making him a plate.
because my family is the type of family where once they see you for more than once you move in, you family. Like my
Right.
family don't
Your
call him
family.
Dre's friend. My family says that's Xavier. Like my mother calls him her son. My aunts all look for him now. So because you're family, it ain't no, get up in this kitchen and be with the family. Zay has this thing of wanting to be away from everybody. He wants to be isolated. We don't have islands in my family functions. So at his family function, his grandmom is a little more old school. So she'll say, Xavier, make sure you fix your man a plate. But my family is more like, okay, you family, get up and go get your plate, or we gonna all eat in your face while you sit there and nurse that beer you've been nursing for 2 hours.
But it don't take me no 2 hours for a beer though, just to let y'all know.
But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
But I feel you, Vonda. We're not gonna keep you under the bus. We rode
yeah.
the bus back a little bit so you can get up. I checked you out.
We
I
been
was
there.
trying. I was trying. I wasn't gonna let them put you on a stretcher. I seen you getting, I caught you. All right, last question of the night. Is it ideal to include heterosexual frame of minds in the LGBTQIA plus or in trans attracted relationship? And if it is, which ways do you think it is? I'm just gonna say no to the no, and I'm gonna pass this thing to Kaylani.
I can talk. Sorry. I'm gonna say no. I gotta find out what's going on with y'all in these plates because I'm just not understanding. But anyway, I'm gonna just say no. And now I gotta advocate for these plates. But yeah, no is my answer.
So what you saying? You make your man play all the time, Kaylani?
This is not about me, Dre. He expects me to. He expects me to. Well, when we were together, we're no longer together. So I don't have to. I'm not obligated to fix any plates now.
Okay, I'm just saying. Zay was asking the question. I was just putting it out there.
Do I make his plate when we were together? Did I make his plate all the time? Most of the time, when I went to like family functions, they're like looking around, like, you fixing his plate, you getting his food, like, what's up? But I just naturally do that because I saw my grandmother do that. So,
Okay.
but I'm just trying to figure out you left an empty plate on the counter and told the boy to fix his own plate.
I mean, it's a clean plate. It's on the counter.
But it was empty. It was an
pointed
empty
and told me
plate.
where it was at.
But
Go
he's
to
not
the kitchen.
doing
This is
nothing
here,
with
this
his
is there.
time, boo.
Not a started plate.
But he wasn't
Not
doing
a
nothing with
started
he wasn't doing nothing with his time. I wanted him to come in the kitchen and help me cook because both of us can throw down in the kitchen.
Oh, you was mad.
I wasn't even mad because one thing about me, I won't get mad because the kitchen is my domain of peace. That's where I go to clear my mind.
My mouth was watering, y'all. I seen everybody getting the plate eating. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, like I'm the kitchen's where I
I'm
clear my
offended for
head.
you, Zay.
I'm with Zay. But I gotta say this. If I'm downstairs, she's upstairs, and we both don't work, babe, you need me to bring you a plate up? Even if we both upstairs, I will go down and make a plate. But that's just who I am.
Right.
Is
But now
that
if I do breakfast, I'll do breakfast in bed. Like I'll do breakfast in bed and bring it up, but he don't let me have that much time to
I'm
cook and
talking
then bring
dinner, lunch. I don't care what it is. You ordered your food from Red Door. I mean, you know what I'm saying? DoorDash, and it's at the door. I'm going down getting it for you. Is that being mail centered? Do I need to fall back from that, y'all? I'm asking the panel.
No, I just
No, but see that breakfast stuff, that breakfast in bed stuff, that it be hidden stuff behind that. Y'all want us to stay in bed.
No. If I do breakfast,
Y'all want us to be there.
if I do breakfast in bed, it's because I got out the bed to cook, and I'm gonna bring it to you so you can stay in the bed and eat.
Right.
And then I'm getting back in the bed
Because I don't want
to
you to
eat
have to
with
get up
you.
and get dressed.
Get up and
God
get dressed
forbid
for
you gotta
what?
get dressed.
Get up and get dressed for what? First of all,
his breakfast coming to bed.
first of all, he get up
day.
with the roosters. So let's
Mm.
the rooster
Y'all
say
do breakfast in bed for
cock-a-doodle-doo,
2 reasons.
and he jump up like, what I gotta do today? Like the rest of this week
That's
we off.
me.
Let's see how long he sit. Peach.
Ah.
Is it ideal to include heterosexual frame of minds in the LGBTQIA plus and trans attracted relationships, and in which ways?
No, it's not ideal. I think when you do that, you miss out on the best parts of the person. And that is my answer.
Oh, you sticking to that?
Final answer. All right, smack you here, all right?
Yeah. Are you asking me to answer this now?
I
Yeah,
am.
Professor Stanley answer.
Because I feel like it depends. It depends on what the conversation is. And I don't mind a heterosexual person coming in asking questions if it's from a place they're trying to grow and learn. You see what I'm saying? You never know what a person's motive is, like allies. You
You
know what
missing the question, hon. That's not what he was asking.
is it ideal to include heterosexual frame of minds?
Heteronormative frame of mind.
In your
I,
relationships.
I thought it said heterosexual frame of minds.
No.
It did, but it's supposed to say heteronormative relationship frame of
Oh,
mind.
heteronormative?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it said heterosexual. Oh, nah. Hell nah. Okay.
Okay. She didn't jump to the color purple on me. She
I'm
said,
sorry,
hell
I didn't
no.
mean to cuss, but no.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Nah.
It's okay.
I thought the question that y'all sent said heterosexual. That's what I see, but I got you.
I got you. Stan the man.
No. No. That's my answer. No.
I love it. Tim.
It really depends on, well, with me, it depends on who I'm with. Um, in some situations dealing with certain people, the interaction is very heterosexual normative. Um, I do more of the traditional roles of the man. They do more of the traditional roles of the woman. But it's not cut the same way as a heterosexual relationship. Like, for instance, I had a friend over earlier this evening. I made a spaghetti dinner. I set everything for us. I made both plates. We sat down and we ate. When we got done eating, he cleared everything. He did the dishes. So, yes and no. It depends on your situation. Every situation is not a situation that can be squeezed into a heteronormative. Like we were saying earlier, two femmes dating, or two butches dating, or two trans men dating, or two feminine boys dating, or two masculine boys dating. That narrative doesn't always apply to those situations. So some situations is healthy, some situations is toxic. That's my answer. That's what I'm going with. Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Y'all cut up tonight. Zay.
What? No.
Okay. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All
go,
right.
go, go.
But I don't think it's any much of a difference in the mindset of it. I don't think like us compared to them because I feel like we're on the same levels. Just because I like a man and that man like a woman, we pretty much probably gonna carry situations almost the same.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, guys, that about sums up this very interesting topic. What did you guys learn from tonight's show?
Yeah, some of y'all are mean.
That I feel like I've worked on a lot in my life, and to hear my other half says I still have this heteronormative thought process kind of bit a little bit. So I'll be doing some more reflecting. I'm trying to change that ish. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be like my dad or have this male ego, but she's not the only person who has ever told me that, because I've been a person, and not saying that men don't see everything. We just go with they just go with the flow. I have blinders on, and there was so much that I never saw because I was just living my life, doing what I wanted to do, and putting me first. That it wasn't until I got with Peirrce that the blinders came off, and I was very observant and just saw so much. I mean, I fired everybody from my staff. From my, I didn't know people were stealing from. It was so much. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking that I'm growing, but to hear so many years later, I still have that same thought process. That's what I learned tonight, y'all. But it's not a bad thing. It's a learning thing, and that's what makes relationships stronger.
Hey, Dre, did you see what Maurice
Yeah, he
typed?
wasn't shouting it out, but he capitalized everything in Salisbury with exclamation points. But it's okay. Mark.
I think it was more. It looked like it was more of shock than
No,
shouting it
no,
out.
Maurice is getting old. He's just not learning the difference between shouting and not shouting. It's okay.
He's from Salisbury.
You hear that, boo boo?
Hey, Mar.
Don't do
He
that.
gonna get me for
Hey,
that one.
Mar. He throwing your childhood name out there.
Y'all ain't even right. Leave Maurice alone. I'm picking up for him. Leave him alone. But y'all learned a lot tonight, especially, I mean, I was very transparent, on my upbringing, and I carried a lot of heteronormative, ways. And I feel like I'm almost new to the community because I had to unlearn some behaviors and unlearn them quick. You know what I mean? Here's to tell you, I just live my life, man. I'm in there. I'm rocking. I go into straight clubs and chill. And I really feel like in Delaware, I was bringing the communities into the. I'm like, yeah, come on to my parties was for everybody, not just for gay people. It was for everybody because everybody accepted me for me.
Or bring them back because I need a good party right now.
I'm
Hey,
do party.
Nadia,
I'm
why
done.
why you out there looking like Lisa Lopez right now?
I learned that me and Stan have more in common than what I initially thought. we,
Mm, that's so interesting.
it's like
I
funny way
realized
of
that.
thinking.
I realized that last week. I realized that last week that me and Stan had a whole lot in common that I never paid
Wow.
attention to. Yeah.
Go ahead, Stan.
You know what? When I want to use the term, like I get enlightened with things, because I always have a concept of everybody and how we all are. So it wasn't like so much learning so much, but it's more enlightened me to things and making me aware of a lot of things that I wasn't aware of before with everybody, and everybody's point of view and everybody's differences. But deep down, I think we all have a lot in common. That's why we're here. And so I have a lot with everybody, and I listen to that. And one thing I did, one thing I learned though is that my thinking is not alone. That it's good to see others thinking similar to me, and that's the thing I learned. So
Awesomeness, awesomeness. Well, it has been another great episode of In Black. And if I got to sign us up out of here, I would say for Kaylani, Tim, Peach, Smack, Stan, and Zay, I'm Dre, and we're In Black. Thanks for watching.
all right, y'all, peace out.
Y'all hold on. Y'all stay on that.